truth, in public, about these crimes and then order the arrest of the perpetrators, the war to free humanity will not be over. Take a look, starting at the 11 minutes and 30-second mark, at this G20 video, and you can see German Chancellor Angela Merkel making her Freemasonic eye sign. She, the only member of the ruling Saxe-Gotha-Rothschild family present, is once again telling those who have eyes to see that the G20, self-described as the world's highest-level economic forum, is just a gathering of Rothschild servants. Look at their garbled communiqué for yourself to see what a useless joke this group is. They have met for 10 years in a row, but still their final statement is full of phrases like "we will set up a task force," and "we believe efforts could be made." In fact, though, they have yet again failed to reform the voting structure of the UN, the World Bank, the IMF, or other so-called international organizations. They also talk about green finance while admitting there is no definition of what that means, but that there should be voluntary principles for green finance. Chinese President Xi Jinping, who spearheaded China's well-choreographed hosting of this event, did call for equitable and efficient global financial governance. However, that is not going to be accomplished in a cumbersome group hug forum of 20 high-level slaves. The Chinese know this and are preparing alternatives, such as Bitcoin, for when this system collapses, Asian secret society sources confirm. Despite the inability of the G20 to make decisive collective decisions, there was some serious geopolitical horse trading going on before, during and after the G20. One big move was a Rothschild/Russian attack on the Bush/Clinton/Rockefeller crime gangs' oil and energy interests in the Middle East. This appeared in the corporate news headlines in the form of an announcement of a deal between the US and Russia on Syria. What this means is that the Rothschilds and the Russians have agreed on how to split gas revenue coming out of the Middle East to the detriment of the Bush/Clinton/Rockefeller faction. The Pentagon and the Russians, for their part, are sticking to their agreement, as we have previously reported, to leave everything to the west of the Euphrates, including Israel, to the Russians, while the US military control territory to the east of the river. This deal can now be confirmed in multiple corporate news announcements, such as one saying the Americans told their Kurdish allies to move to the east of the Euphrates. The Rothschild/Russian deal is also affecting Bush/Clinton/Rockefeller gas interests in the Ukraine. This means the Nazi coup d'état in the Ukraine may soon start to unravel, Pentagon sources say. However, the real battleground remains the United States, where the Hazarian mafia desperately clings to power amid growing popular anger. The people behind Hillary Clinton contacted the White Dragon Society again to say their new plan is to have Hillary drop out of the presidential race for health reasons and then run a Bernie Sanders and Michelle Obama ticket against Donald Trump. This is because Hillary is so wildly unpopular that stealing an election for her would be very difficult, the sources said. The original plan was to replace Hillary with Joe Biden, not Sanders, other sources note. Pentagon sources, for their part, say Hillary and Trump may be forced out when the USA Republic is announced, with a return to the gold standard so white hats can rebuild the country. In any case, the Hillary health thing is definitely being widely broadcast in the corporate media now, with tales of pneumonia etc. being spread profusely. There was also high weirdness surrounding Hillary's collapse on September 11 at a 9/11 memorial event. CIA sources, who otherwise seem sober and sane, insist Hillary was replaced by a new clone, that was standing by in Chelsea Clinton's apartment, immediately after the old clone collapsed. Certainly she seems to have changed dramatically in a very short time. Here is a picture of Hillary while she is at the 9/11 event. And here is the video of her, broken clone, collapsing. Now compare that to a video of her a short while later after she leaves Chelsea Clinton's apartment.
Thank you. Hey everybody.
How are you feeling, Secretary?
Feeling great. Feeling great.
What happened?
It's a beautiful day in New York.
Are you alive?
Thanks everybody. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, how are you feeling?
Great. I'm feeling great.
What happened?
Thank you. Hey everybody.
How are you feeling, Secretary?
Feeling great. Feeling great.
What happened?
It's a beautiful day in New York.
Are you alive?
Thanks everybody. Thank you.
Madam Secretary, how are you feeling?
Great. I'm feeling great.
What happened?
At the very least, she seems to have gotten 10 years younger in a very short time. The CIA sources insist the clones are of limited intelligence and can only be used to read speeches and cut ribbons. That is why Clinton did not have a press conference for 278 days running, they say. When she finally had a so-called press conference last week, she answered exactly 6 softball questions such as, are they biased against you because you are a woman from pre-selected media prostitutes? The people behind Hillary are desperate to keep one of their own in the presidential office because a military/agency law enforcement noose is rapidly closing around them. The latest tightening was the unanimous passage of a bill by both U.S. houses to allow the families of 911 victims to sue Saudi Arabia. Obama cannot veto and must sign, because Israel and the Jewish mafia are the real targets of the bill, Pentagon sources say. Pentagon sources also say an Israeli submarine may have been sunk on the 15th anniversary of 911, along with the Israeli spy satellite meant to help ISIS, Facebook destabilize Africa, because the Pentagon was struck by an Israeli sub-launched missile on 9/11. This would be the latest in a whole series of Israeli submarines that have been sunk in recent years. The Hazarian mafia, fearing for its survival, is desperately courting Russia and China in the hopes of staving off the approaching Pentagon/agency dragnet. Certainly there was some serious saber-rattling accompanying the G20 meeting. Pentagon sources say the Chinese sent 11 ships and barges to the Scarborough Shoal claimed by both China and the Philippines to bully the Philippines. In response, Pentagon top General Joseph Dunford flew to Manila on September 6 where he met with top Chinese and Asian military leaders. Immediately after that, on September 7, he flew to the Yokosuka Navy base in Japan. Then, on September 9, North Korea announced it had developed nuclear weapons that could be put on ballistic missiles capable of reaching anywhere in the world. Clearly, the Japanese and Americans are using North Korea as a proxy to threaten, in a manner that can be plausibly denied, a nuclear response to Chinese moves. Following this, China and Russia started massive joint naval exercises in the South China Sea off Guangdong Province on September 12. Pentagon sources say the Chinese South China Sea drill was forced to be in Chinese waters off Guangdong and not Hainan, and nowhere near the exclusive economic zones of Vietnam or the Philippines. The Hazarians are also pushing the Europeans to take action against the U.S. military. The latest manifestation of this was an announcement by France and Germany that they were going to establish joint military headquarters as a move towards creating a pan-European army. Also, as can be seen in the video linked at the top of this report, Germany's Merkel openly and clearly snubbed US President Obama in front of all the world's media cameras at the G20. Such snubs in front of cameras are deliberately staged messages to the world. In this case, Germany is not friends with America. Clearly the Rothschilds are trying to get the Chinese, the Europeans, the Russians, and everybody else they can find to protect them from a justice-seeking American military. There is also the very real possibility of some new, massive 9/11/3/11 type event. Remember how Donald Rumsfeld told the press the day before 9/11 that $2.3 trillion was missing from the Pentagon budget? Well, now the U.S. Department of Defense is saying that $6.5 trillion went missing from its budget in 2015. This is clearly a message to the world that the U.S. military-industrial complex, or else the Hazarian Mafia, it is not clear which,